right. If you'll bring your hands to prayer position in front of your heart, just find your mountain pose. Feel your feet on the floor and just have a sense of trying to allow the four corners of the feet to each have some contact. So the mounds of your big toes, pinky toes, your inner heels, your outer heels, all four of those points, let them be heavy on the mat. And let's inhale and take the arms up. Exhale and come forward for your first forward fold. Gentle with yourself, knees bent if need be. Maybe a little alternate bending of one knee than the other if that works better for you right now. Just to start to warm the body up. And then we'll come back up to standing. Inhale, reach the arms out and up and overhead. Palms together, sliding your hands to heart center, and release arms to your sides. Let's go again. Open the palms. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lengthen halfway forward. And exhale, folding in. And we'll come back up to standing. Inhale, reach the arms out and up. Bring the palms together over your head. Slide your hands right through to heart center and release your arms to your sides. One last half sun here. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, swan dive forward, Uttanasana. Inhale, lengthen halfway forward for Ardha. And exhale and fold in. Let's step back with the right foot. Just come right into a high lunge. Just a good old-fashioned high lunge. Feeling into the legs a little bit. And then step your right foot forward and switch, taking the left foot back. Just a high lunge, feeling into the legs. And step your back foot forward one more time on the right side. Take the right foot back, high lunge. Start to bring some Ujjayi breath into it. And step the right foot forward, step the left foot back. And step the left foot forward, just forward fold. Inhale, lengthen halfway forward for Ardha. And exhale and fold in. Let's bend the knees for skier pose. Bring the hands up onto the knees. Sitting back in the seat. Take your hands outside of your thighs, and then keeping your thighs at parallel, hands are going to press in and thighs are going to press out. So just a little isometric work here. Think about your thigh bones kind of widening apart as you're pressing your legs out against your hands, and your hands are keeping your legs from doing anything. And then release and forward fold. Inhale, lengthen halfway forward for Ardha. And exhale and fold in. Back to skier stance. This time you're going to turn your hands and put your fingers to the inner thighs. And your hands are going to press out against your inner thighs while you're trying to adduct and hug in toward the midline with the thighs. So give that a go. Notice where that shows up. If it bothers the shoulders, turn the palms so they're facing in and press out against the back of your hands. And release, hands to the floor, forward fold. Inhale, lengthen halfway forward, Ardha. And exhale and fold in. Let's step back again with the right foot. Come into a high lunge. And this time, come on up to crescent. Arms up. Hands to the floor. Step the right foot forward and the left foot back. Back into your lunge legs. Come right up to crescent lunge. And hands to the floor. Step your left foot forward. Step your right foot back. Same thing. Finding your lunge legs, come on up, crescent lunge. Hands to the floor. And step your back foot forward and your left foot back. Crescent lunge. And bring both hands to the floor. Step your back foot forward. Forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, lengthen halfway forward for Ardha. Hang out in your Ardha for just a little moment or two. Pushing back through your inner thighs. Pull your low belly in and up. Engage your glute muscles. And then trying to keep your spine nice and long like this. Bow forward. If you need to bend the knees, bend the knees. Let's come all the way up to standing this time. Inhale, reach the arms out and up. Bring the palms together overhead. Drop your thumbs back behind your neck. And then hug the sides of your head with your inner forearms. Now with all that going on, move your inner thighs back a little bit. Hug in towards your midline, pull your belly in and up, and then start to lean back, keeping this hugging of the midline. Now you can allow your hips to move forward a little bit, coming into this little back bend. Come back to a nice upright spine and release. Take your arms out and swan dive forward again to forward fold slowly. Inhale, lengthen halfway forward, Ardha. And exhale and fold in. Let's go ahead and step back to downward dog. And just be here for a couple rounds of breath. First one of the day, just trying to bear some weight on the arms. Feel free to pulse through your heels a little bit. And shift forward to plank pose. And we're going to lower all the way to the belly. Let's come into Sphinx pose. So prop up on the forearms and elbows. Settle down for your chest. Pull back gently in the forearms and the hands. Keeping some strength in your abdomen. Rooting the tailbone toward your mat. Ujjayi breath, even if it doesn't feel like there's much going on. Hopefully with the isometrics, there's a little something going on. And the strength in your abdomen, that kind of thing. And then come on back down to your belly. Take your arms back alongside of your body, palms facing in. Little Shalabhasana, but without clasping the hands. So lift up through the chest. Reach back through your fingers, working those muscles in the back. Try to keep the tops of your toenails on the floor. And release, hands to the floor, press up to table. And now from this table, let's do a couple rounds of cat and cow. So inhaling to look forward, exhaling to round, inhaling to look forward, exhaling to round, inhaling to look forward, exhaling to round, and then settle into a neutral spine. We're going to be doing a little cat and cow more rapidly, not quite as fast as fire breath, but somewhat along those lines. So we're going to lift and inhale as we look up and exhale as we round. Okay, so I'll go at a pace that feels comfortable for me. Feel free to go to a pace that feels best for you. If you don't like doing it quickly, then just slow it down for yourself. Okay. All right, and then just pause, Widen your knees and sit back in a puppy pose or child's pose. I'm going right to child's pose because I want to try to get my sitting bones toward my heels and deepen this kind of hip opening here. Arms out in front with the elbows lifted. All right, now shift back up to your table pose. We're going to come down onto the elbows, do a little bit of work to open the shoulders. So just bring the hands together so we can come into like a little baby dolphin pose here. Elbows directly under the shoulders as best you can get them. And then walk your knees back a few inches and sit back. Just moving the sitting bones back to whatever extent you can move them back, and then isometrically pull your elbows and forearms back. And rest your forehead wherever it needs to rest. So just feeling into that. And then shift it forward. Now we're going to grab a block. So if you'll go ahead and find yourself a block. Mine are across the room. Okay. We're going to take a block and we're going to hold it narrow ways with the hands just right on the sides of it. All right. So coming down back to that dolphin position with the elbows underneath the shoulders. Curl the toes under, sit back again, and then take the block back behind your head with a spacer between your hands. Just be with that for a moment or two. Breathing. And then go ahead and bring the block back to the floor. Shift your body weight forward so you come back up onto your elbows. And now we're going to take the block and turn it horizontally. Just having the hands holding the flat edges of the block. Thumbs pointing up, right? Elbows right underneath the shoulders, and we'll do it again. So sit back, lifting the block, keeping the elbows static. So don't let your elbows splay out to the sides if you can. And then we're going to bring this block back behind the head, thumbs pointing toward your back. Breathing into that. Big, full, deep Ujjayi breath. Couple more rounds. All right, and then release the block to the floor, come back up onto your hands and your knees. Let's find downward facing dog. All right, let's lift the right leg. Bend the knee, open up through the hip for just a moment. We're not going to stay here too long right now. On your exhale, bring your right foot forward. Find your side angle stretch setup for your legs, and then we'll come up, right elbow on the thigh, left arm alongside of the ear. So just finding the outer form of the pose, breathing into it. Bring both hands down to the floor and pick up your back heel so you find your lunge legs again, and then come back up to crescent lunge. And then tip forward, hands to prayer, and we'll twist, taking the left elbow outside of the right leg. Coming into a bit of a twist here. The back knee can stay lifted or come down, whatever feels best to you. As we feel into the body. Ujjayi breath. And bring the hands to the floor and step to down dog. Set your knees down. Shift forward into low plank on your knees. Hugging your knees in toward the midline. And then, keeping the left knee on the floor, slide the right foot back a little bit and lift your right knee up while pulling your low belly in and up. And then set the right knee down. Same thing on the left side. Slide the left leg back, lifting the knee, pushing through the heel and pulling your low belly in and up. And set both knees down. We're going to lower down to the belly. Take a cobra pose this time. And lower down. Let's find downward dog. And then we'll lift the left leg, bend the knee, open up through the hip a little bit, keeping the shoulders square to the floor. And on your exhale, bring your left foot forward. Set up your legs for side angle stretch over the left leg, so elbow on the thigh, right arm alongside of the ear. And then spinning the hands down to the floor, pick up your back heel, so you've got your lunge legs, and come on up to crescent lunge again. And then tipping forward, hands to prayer, take your right elbow outside of your left leg as you come into prayer twist. All right, and release, hands to the floor. Downward facing dog. Walk your hands back to your feet, coming to forward fold. And then bending your knees, come up to Utkatasana, chair pose. Slowly bringing those arms up alongside of the ears. And then staying in your skier stance, bring your hands into a clasp behind you, roll your shoulder heads back, and then tip it forward. Push back through your inner thighs as perhaps you start to straighten the legs, bringing the chest towards your legs and lifting the arms. So taking this into a deeper bit of a shoulder stretch. Try to relax your head as much as possible so you're not trying to push your head back between your shins, so to speak. Then bending your knees, go ahead and bring your hands down to the floor. Walk your hands forward. And from this down dog-ish position, cross your right ankle above your left knee to come to that figure four shape. And then push the hands forward, push your hips back a little bit. You can walk your hands back if you need to, but you're on a bent left knee. Moving the weight back as you get a little deeper into that kind of hip stretch there. Now walk your hands back so you can actually just stand on that left foot with your legs in this position. And then can you bring your elbows up onto your shin and your knee and just balance for a moment or two. And then hands to the floor. Walk your hands forward. And shift forward into plank pose with your legs in a figure four. I'm going to roll the weight onto the left hand and the outer edge of the left foot, taking your right foot to your inner left thigh and coming into Avashisthasana with tree pose legs. And then bring both hands to the floor, step to plank, come down to your belly, take a little cobra. And press up and back to a puppy pose. Breathing. And coming back up to table pose. We'll find our way up to a down dog. And then we'll find that figure 4 configuration of the legs from your down dog. So cross your left ankle above your right knee, bend your right leg. Maybe you walk your hands back a little bit, but you push the hands forward isometrically as you sit back and get a deeper stretch in your left hip. And hang out with that here for a moment or two. And then walk your hands back so you can ground yourself standing on that right foot. Can you bring your hands up and balance for a moment or two in this kind of standing hip stretch? And we'll bring the hands down. Keep the legs as they are as you walk your hands forward. And then shifting forward into kind of plank pose with those figure 4 legs. Take your weight to the right hand, roll to the outer edge of the right foot. Take your left foot to your inner right thigh and see about taking your arm up there. Tree pose legs. Woo. All right, and both hands down. Step to plank. Take yourself to the floor. Cobra pose. And just sit up in a puppy pose again, curling the toes under. Set your elbows down on the floor, bring your hands back to prayer, and slide your hands back behind your head again. Now, we don't have the block right in our hands, so don't worry about it. Just try to widen your hands apart and notice how much challenge there is. Pretending you have a block there, it's so amazing, isn't it? It kind of feels like there's this thick adhesive, like chewing gum between your hands. So your hands are only going to go so wide without having an automatic spacer there with the block. And then bring your hands down to the floor. Point your toes and come to sit in Virasana. So just slowly bring yourself up to a seat. Feeling the effects of your practice so far. All right, so bring the hands back to the floor. We're going to just bring the right foot forward, come into a low lunge. Move the right foot out to the right so both hands are on the floor inside of your right foot. And just coming into this opening, a little deeper opening for the hip. Now can that right foot walk out to the right just a couple more inches. And then pick up the right toes, so you're just on the right heel, and then push the right heel out just a bit. Don't try to straighten the leg entirely. Just push the leg out at an angle, up on the heel, pulling the toes up. So we're kind of working the hamstrings, but we're also working in the hips here. And then you're going to slide back on that heel. Bring your right knee underneath you. Let's bring the left foot forward. Just come into a low lunge. Hands on the inside. Kind of a plank position in your upper body. Hanging out with that a little bit. Just letting your chest kind of settle. And then let's move the left foot out to the left. Just be there for a moment or two before we start to pick the toes up. And then pull the toes up, come up onto the heel. And see if you can slide that left foot out a little bit. We're not straightening the leg. We're just pushing down into the floor with the heel as we come a little deeper into this. Pull your tailbone a little more underneath you so you have a little support from your core. And then lift your hips and slide your left leg back in. Great, let's take a down dog. And walk your hands back to your feet again. Back to forward fold, feeling into the legs. relaxing your arms and your hands as much as possible. So after Vashisthasana, sometimes there can be some congestion in the wrist, so feel free to move your hands around a little bit. Or even just do kind of little ape arms. You can kind of let the fingers point back and get a bit of a stretch for the forearm. A little different variation for the wrist since you had your hands the opposite to hold all the weight. And bend your knees, slide your hands up your shins to your knees. Back to skier. And then let's inhale, take the arms out and up. Palms come together. And slide your hands to your heart. Okay, so we're going to do standing Uttita Hasta Padangusthasana. So we're going to take a strap for this because we don't do this too much. And if you do feel like your balance is maybe a little tricky today, feel free to stand near a wall or a piece of furniture just to get some support. Then you're going to take the strap around the instep of your right foot and lift the leg up. Give yourself the rein on the strap that's going to feel appropriate to you so you can straighten the leg out in front and take it to the side with whatever sense of comfort, we'll put that in air quotes, we can have here. All right, so let's take the right leg out in front. Root down through that outer right hip crease and take your left arm out to the left. Try to pull your right shoulder head back so that you can kind of balance yourself there. Work your shoulder principles a little bit. And then let's open the right leg out to the right. Balancing. And then bring the leg back to center. Switch the straps into your other hand. And then see if you can twist your torso and reach your right arm back behind you. All right, and come out of it as quickly as necessary. And we'll see about the other side. So let's go ahead and step into the strap with the left foot. Getting a nice solid foundation on your right foot. Make sure you're not turning that foot out or in a way that's going to make it really feel unstable or hard for you to balance. So set your foot in a way that feels like a solid foundation. And then you come up. She said hopping around. Here we go. All right, and rolling the shoulders back. Then we'll take the left leg out in front and reach the right arm out to the right. Pulling the left shoulder head back. You know, as you're holding the foot in the strap, you can root the leg back in the socket a little bit. And then maybe we open the left leg out to the left. And then bringing the leg back to center. Switch the strap into your right hand. And then maybe you can turn to look to the left, taking your left arm back behind you. And then we come out of the pose. Okay. It's a little something, something. So let's go ahead and just drop the strap. Let's do just a straight on thigh stretch. If you want to use that strap, feel free to. Otherwise, you can just, if you want to put your hand on something, feel free to, but we'll take a hold of the right foot. Push the foot back into your hand. Pull your abdomen in and up, and let's move the right leg back. Pulling the belly in and up, and then maybe that left arm just goes straight up. See if you can pull the right heel in a little closer to the right hip. Yeah. So as soon as I pull my belly up more, it gives me a little deeper stretch in the thigh. And then let's switch sides. So baby dancer pose. On the other side, we'll stand on the right foot. Go ahead and grab your left foot or your left ankle. Pushing the foot back into the hand. Drawing the thighs in close to one another, but moving the left thigh back as the right arm goes up. Pulling the belly in and up. And maybe you just stay in the position where you're pushing the foot back into the hand. Maybe you bring that heel in a little bit closer. And then really work on pulling your belly up. It's like you're wrapping your tailbone more underneath your body. So the front of your torso, the whole body kind of lifts up a little bit. And then release. Okay. Now we're going to take a little adventure from downward facing dog. We're going to do flipping the dog. And then we're going to do what's in some circles known as fallen triangle. So it's going to be some work for the arms to support the weight as we're doing these poses. I'll talk you through it. Come on up to down dog. So let's start by lifting the right leg. Bend the right knee, open up through the hip. If you're not a dog flipper, so to speak, then you can stay right here. If you want to flip the dog, take the weight to your left hand and your left foot, and you're going to pivot on the left foot, drop the right foot behind you, and take your right arm up alongside of the ear. Make sure that you have proper support in your grounded arm. And then we're going to come back to three-legged dog. So spin that right hand down, pivot back on that left foot, lifting the right leg up. Now we're going to bring the right knee forward. Take your right leg over to the left, karate chop the edge of the foot down, and then spin your left foot down. Take the weight onto your right hand, and then take your left arm up alongside of the ear. In some circles, this is called fallen triangle. And then release. Hands to the floor, back to down dog. Set your knees down and wrap your arms around the sides of your body. Give yourself a rest. All right, let's come back up to downward facing dog. And we'll do the same thing on the other side or whatever variations you found for yourself. All right, so with the weight on the right foot, lift the left leg, bend the knee. Either stay here or flip the dog. Taking the left arm up alongside of the ear. And then we'll come back to three-legged dog. So bring that left hand down, pick up your left leg. And then the left knee is going to come forward. Take it over to the right and then straighten the right leg and karate chop the edge of the foot down. Spin your right heel down, take all the weight to your left hand, and take your right arm up alongside of the ear. And spin the hands down. Step back to down dog. Shift forward to plank. You could do that on your knees if it's a little bit much for the arms. Lower down to your belly. Shalabhasana with the hands clasped behind you. Take your feet just slightly wider than your hip distance and then lift your shoulder heads, lift your chest, reach back through your hands, lifting the arms, and then lift the legs, pushing energy through your big toe mounds. And release, come down and have a rest. Rest your chin on your hands. Let the whole thing go. How much sweet abundance there is in your body. And then bringing the hands alongside of the chest, press up to table. Come on back up to down dog. And walk your hands back to your feet, coming to forward fold at the back of the mat. Shake your head out a little bit. And come on up to standing. Inhaling, reach the arms out and up. Palms together overhead and sliding your hands to heart center. All right, release the arms down. Let's take a wide stance. We're going to come into a goddess stance here. So set the feet wide, turn the toes out, the heels in. I'm going to bend the knees. And just bring your forearms onto your thighs and use your forearms just to give yourself a little deeper stretch for the inner thighs. Pull your tailbone underneath you, pull your abdomen in and up. And feel free to shift yourself a little bit from side to side if that would feel good. Feeling into the legs as you're doing this. All right, now go ahead and bring your hands to the floor. Bring your feet to parallel and straighten your legs for Prasarita, Padottanasana, bowing forward. And then inhale, come halfway up. We're going to reposition the feet for triangle pose. So just go ahead and take your right foot, open it up. Give yourself as much distance between your feet as you like to have in your triangle. And then as soon as you find your foundation, go ahead and bring yourself into the pose. Take the top arm up, finding your wingspan, engaging all the muscles on the front of the thigh, so with the stretch you're getting on the inner thigh and the hamstrings feel supported. Then spin the hands down. Bend into your right leg, and we'll just spin the feet the opposite direction to set up for triangle pose over the left leg. So just take your time to find that foundation as you like it. And as soon as you get there, go ahead and open it up, coming into Trikonasana over the left leg. Breathing. Ujjayi breath. All right, and then release. Bring both hands back down to the floor. Bring your feet back to parallel for Prasarita. Bowing forward. Then take your right hand over to the left and take your left ankle with your right hand. Walk your left hand forward and twist to look underneath your left arm. Bring your chest a little bit closer to your left leg as you bow. And then release. Take your left hand to your right ankle. Walk your right hand forward and turn to look under your right arm and draw yourself a little closer to your right leg as you look underneath your right arm. Try to keep your hips even. You breathe into a little deeper pose here. And then come back to center. All right, so let's either hop or step the feet to hip distance width. Slowly find your way up to standing. And slide your hands to heart center. Great, okay. We're gonna find our way to the wall. So you're gonna stand facing the wall so that you're about your legs distance away, or your torso distance away, so that you can put your hands on the wall, about at the height of your hips. And step back so that your feet can be directly underneath your hips. Now, just check out your hands and make sure your hands are placed on the wall with care, just as you would set them in a downward dog, right? So you don't have them kind of random there. And now you have this lovely, lovely L pose. So scoot your right foot just slightly closer to the midline and lift your left leg. So coming into your warrior three. Try not to collapse at all in your right arm. And then your right hand is going to come down to the floor. Keep your left hand on the wall and turn yourself to look to the left. And just externally rotating that left leg, you can lift it up, spread the toes. Now, can you take your hand off the wall and balance? Bend your left leg and take a hold of the foot for Ardha Chandra Chapasana. It's a little tricky to go from that variation with the hand on the wall to balancing, isn't it? I mean, when you approach it and you're balancing from the get-go, it's a little bit easier, but it's a little more challenging to start with the hand on the wall, right? Now let's square the hips to the floor. So bring both hands down to the floor, squaring the hips as they look down, and then set the left foot down. Bend your knees, come to skier. And then come on up to standing. Other side, so we're going to place the hands on the wall, about at the height of the hips, stepping the feet back so you can make yourself essentially into a right angle or so. And then we'll set ourselves up for warrior three here. So scoot the left foot in toward the midline just a little bit, just to help create some balance for yourself. And then lift the right leg. Do your best to keep your hips square to the floor. It'll be very tempting to open that right leg and hip. Keeping your left arm steadfast will remind you not to kind of collapse into that. And then we'll take the left hand down to the floor, obviously a block if you need it. And then we'll turn and look to the right, lifting the right leg, spreading the toes. And coming into your half moon, but with a hand on the wall, a little different animal, so to speak. Now, can you take your right hand off of the wall? Bend your right leg and come into Ardha Chandra Chapasana here, pressing the foot back into the hand. All right, and then we'll release. Bring the right hand down to the floor and square your hips again. And then we'll set the right foot down. Bend your knees. Find your skier. And then come on up to standing. Okay. We'll just do one more thing while we're here at the wall, and we're going to take an inversion, whatever inversion feels good to you. We've done a lot of this work to open the shoulders, so the arms are prepared pretty well for like forearm balance for Panchamayurasana, if that's something that you want to do. Or you just feel like doing any of your poses on your forearms because maybe your wrists or your hands are just not up to it today. If none of that appeals, lay down, put your legs up, just take a moment. So I'm setting up for Panchamayurasana with a block between my hands, elbows at shoulder distance, settling into my chest. Starting with kind of a dolphin pose, and then walking one foot in, coming up. And then come on down, if you haven't already, and just have a rest. Keep your head low for a moment. And then slowly bring yourself upright. Let's set ourselves up for whatever back bend now seems to be feeling right for you. Maybe it's a bridge pose. Maybe it's a dolphin pose, right? Right, always dolphin is fine. You can also do bow pose on your belly. And if you're just really kind of feeling it and you want to take yourself into Urdhva, I'm going to keep my mat at the wall and take a blanket and give it a roll. And this is always good for making the shoulders a little happier in the pose. So taking the blanket to the wall And then when I come into the pose, the heels of my palms will be lifted. It's just so much easier on the shoulders to find this variation. Take your hands as wide as you can. Take the heels of your palms toward the ends of the blanket, so you give your shoulders tons of space. And then just kind of push your head up against that blanket, because you don't want to have yourself too far away. You could have your arms almost like, this is a mistake that people make, right? They try to start their pose and their hands are way back here. There's no way you're going to have the strength to support yourself in this position. If you're closer, your head is closer, then you can see how your hands are going to be able to support your weight a little bit more as you come up. Otherwise, at that angle, it's impossible, right? So you come in a little closer, walk your shoulder blades towards your midline. Lift your hips, pull the shoulder blades in, and come up. And come down when you're ready, if that's what you tried. No matter what back bend you try, just give yourself a moment here. And feel free to pull your knees in towards your chest after we've had a few moments on the back side of that. All right, and then we'll set the feet down on the floor. Okay, so let's come down onto our backs now. Sounds like a good idea, doesn't it? Now, we did a couple of variations of eye of the needle from downward facing dog, right? When we walk the hands back and then we kind of did that hip opener from there. Let's just do the traditional version now, taking the right ankle on top of the left knee and draw your legs in towards you. Now that you've been in that position, maybe you can take your hands to the front of your left shin or knee and work a little more deeply in the pose. So find what variation of this works the best for you. Now we're going to keep the legs just as they are, but the hands are going to come back behind our head and we're going to make this a sit-up hip opener. So take the hands from the front of your left leg or behind your left thigh and the hands come back behind your head. Keep your legs active, pull your elbows in and walk your shoulder blades towards your midline. And then lift up from the heart and see if you can resist the temptation to pull on your head. Use your left leg to bring your right ankle closer to you as you sit up. Your head should be really light in your hands because your abs are doing all the work to lift you up there. All right, now keep your torso lifted. Undo your hands, take a hold of the outer edge of your right foot with your right hand, take a hold of the outer edge of the left foot with your left hand, and take your legs out into a V. You're still lifted up, and then we're going to rock and roll and see if we can come up to balance on the sitting bones. So just start to get some momentum. See how many it takes to get yourself up there. And then see if you can come in balance. Pulling the low back in and out. Now can you bring the feet together? Coming into kind of a boat pose here. Only not having to work as hard in the abdomen. That's a nice little treat, isn't it? All right, and then release. Set your feet down and lie back down. Take your arms over your head. And let's just do a little rocking breath for the lower back here. So take an inhale and really exaggerate the arch in your back as you push the sitting bones down. And then exhale and pull your low belly in and up. Wrap your tailbone underneath you. Inhale, reverse, sitting bones push down. Big arch in the back. Now stay in the arch and pull your abdomen in and up. And then release all of that. And let's cross the left ankle on top of the right knee. Coming into eye of the needle, either hands behind the right thigh or in the front of the right shin or knee. Spreading the toes, breathing. See if you can have both sides of your lower back equally bearing weight on the floor. Both sides of the back of the pelvis equally bearing weight on the floor. And if that's not happening because you're pulling your legs in too far, then find a way to hold the leg that gives you the ability to do that. At least for now. Feeling into the hips. All right, now you're going to keep your legs exactly as they are. Bring your hands into a clasp behind your head. And then really try to lift your torso up from the heart as your hands just support your head, but don't pull it. Elbows can come in towards your midline. You can give yourself a little bit of a lift at the base of the occiput. But use your right leg to push your left ankle closer to your body. Ujjayi breath. All right, now legs stay as they are. Take the arms out. You're going to take a hold of the edge of the left foot with the left hand, take a hold of the edge of the right foot with your right hand, and take your legs into a wide V again. And then we'll rock and roll and see if we can come up and balance on the sitting bones again. So same thing. Get some momentum. I got up there, but it wasn't easy. See if you can find that balance on the sitting bones. Legs are out wide to start. Pull your low back in and up, and then see if you can bring your legs together while keeping balance. Get that nice deep hamstring stretch. Bend your knees a little bit and bring your heels to the floor. And then straighten your legs out in front of you. And just sit tall in Dandasana for a moment. We're going to come into Paschimottanasana. So this is a pretty deep forward fold, deep for the hamstrings, deep for the low back. And there's all these variations that you can take that are going to just feel as good as it can feel to you. So let's just go ahead and reach underneath your bottom and pull your buttocks flesh back. So already you're feeling like there's even a remote possibility of coming forward toward the legs, right? Okay. And then just have your hands on your shins. Pull in and up in the lower back and start to walk the hands forward. Pulling back in the hands isometrically, trying to keep the spine long. And just be with yourself right there. And then come forward perhaps a little bit more. Maybe the forearms come to rest on the shins. If any of this just feels like, no, that's a little too much, then you're going to back out of the pose. Make sure you use plenty of muscular energy. Even though you're bringing your body forward, tone and lift your low belly and engage your glute muscles. Because as you're working the hamstrings here, you really want those attachment points to have some love. You want to really pull that energy in. So work your glutes as you're bringing your torso forward toward the legs. And you just breathe, hanging out with what your body will allow. what your body will appreciate. All right, and then slowly find your way back up to Dandasana staff pose. Great, all right. Now, friends, we're gonna sit and do a little bit of pranayama. So let's go ahead and grab something to sit on. So once you find your seat, just close your eyes for a moment and just let's check in on the physical, mental, and emotional levels just to see how this practice has felt to you in all these realms and all of these places of your beingness. And we're going to start to set ourselves up to do a little bit of fire breath. So you can take your arms out with the thumbs pointing up and just curl all the other fingers in. Pull the shoulder blades down your back and only take the arms as high as it feels doable for you, right? And then we're going to do a breath of fire. So it's shallow, in and out through the nose, and very quick. Choose the pace that works for you, and please don't continue to do it if you feel lightheaded or it just doesn't feel right. Okay, here we go. All right, and then release. Pull in some nice full deep breathing and just recognize, oh, how blessed you are with the abundance of oxygen, of everything that you need that's provided to you. Thank you, Lakshmi. Couple more rounds of very full deep inhales and equally long exhales. Okay, so we're going to do another round of pranayama. This is the one where we take the arms up and then we make fists and bring the forearms and elbows into the side ribs. So you can literally kind of, you're going to kind of strike yourself a little bit gently, but you want to have a little impact there because that's part of the work. It really helps to clear some of the congestion, some of the stuff, and can get a little stuck there. And that's really valuable, right? So again, in and out through the nose, do the pace that works for you. I like to do this exercise where I start at a slower pace, and then as I get toward the end, I really build it really quickly. Don't feel like you have to do it the exact same way, okay? So here we go. right, and then release. Big, full, deep breathing. All right, so if you want to stay upright, feel free to, but I suggest taking a nice Shavasana after this practice today. So if you want to make yourself comfortable on your back, please feel free to. I highly recommend it. We worked pretty hard today. So as you start to bring your awareness back to your body, just notice that all of the systems of your body are kind of buzzing, harmonizing together. You know, the percussion of the heart. So just notice what song is being played through the instruments of your body. And then just take a nice full deep breath. Big sigh out. Feel free to wiggle your hands and your feet and very gently find your way to your side and on up to your seat. I send so much deep, deep love and gratitude to all of my teachers. And I'm so grateful to be here doing this practice with you. So I hope that this served you, that it was fun for you. It's just a little something different, right? Mix it up a little bit, bring some variety into it. And, hopefully that served you well and was delightful today. So thank you all so much. Om Shanti. Namaste.